Good evening, class of 2013. Woo! Here, ladies and gentlemen, is the truth. My wisdom is very limited. The only understanding I have of life has come through my own meandering experiences, my own short misadventures. I want to tell you about two of those misadventures today, ones that I believe have had an impact on how I look at the world. First story, 2 summers ago. I was doing some volunteer work at a local retirement home by performing some of my original piano compositions. While playing, I heard someone moan, "Boo, get off the stage, you stink." I looked over to my right and saw a man in the back of the room yelling at me. I looked for help from a nurse standing near the piano. "What do I do?" She replied, "I don't know, this has never happened before." The women in the front of the room, regulars of my weekly show, turned around angrily defending me, saying, "Stop it, Frank, he's a nice boy." He's a nice boy, what does that mean? Needless to say, my confidence was shattered. But what could I do? I'd made a commitment and I would persevere. I was determined to continue and convinced myself that he would like my next selection better. Yet despite my new song selection, his booing continued. "Boo, get off the stage." I'd put myself out there, risked failure, and had failed in Frank's opinion. I told myself that there would always be detractors, so I held my chin up high and continued to play for those who enjoyed it. I learned persistence from this experience. As we grow up, it seems that more and more people dislike what we wear, what we say, and even work to undermine what we strive so hard to accomplish. No matter how discouraging circumstances may become, we are only truly limited when we allow ourselves to be limited, and that is encouraging. Success is achieved by those who try and keep on trying. Despite my rejection, I continue to play the piano. My wisdom is limited, but I believe that we will surprise ourselves by what we can achieve when we follow through on our good ideas. But sometimes, listening to that little voice in our head that says, "That's a bad idea," can be just as beneficial. For example, my second story is one of those bad ideas. On a hot summer's day last year, I was at my house with my girlfriend. We'd only been dating for a few months, so naturally I was trying to impress her on a fairly regular basis. That day, I decided to make s'mores in the hope of impressing her with my culinary and fire-making skills. While the s'mores construction went well, the fire-making did not. I could only get an unimpressive flame burning. Frustrated, I said, "You want to see a real fire?" She said she was fine, which I took to mean, "Totally, Christopher, light this baby up." In my wisdom, I grabbed a nearly full 5-gallon gasoline canister with every intention to pour it over the open fire. But before the gas could hit the fire, the fumes ignited. The canister started collapsing and spewing fire like a flamethrower in my hands. As I watched the nozzle begin to droop and melt, I realized that I had begun to scream like a girl. The best plan I could muster up in my panic was to get the plastic jug as far away from me as possible, so I threw it. Under a tree. My father's favorite tree. I looked around for my girlfriend, who ran away screaming something about a fire department, and I told her to get the hose. "Quick, turn the water all the way up. Turn the handle to your left. Your other left." Right when the hose started, I thought to myself, this is another bad idea. Doesn't water aggravate a gasoline fire? In reply, the fire leapt up to a 6-foot-tall inferno, and the flames spread across the yard, floating on top of the water. My heart sank and my jaw dropped as the bottom limbs of my father's tree ignited. I looked to my girlfriend. "Quick, turn the water all the way off now. Turn the handle to your right. Your other right." At that moment, I could see my mother inside of the house talking on the phone with her back towards the window. I went in and asked, "Where's the fire extinguisher?" She gave me a quick glance and said, "Oh, it's under the bathroom sink." I grabbed it, ran back outside, pulled the pin, and sprayed it empty. The fire grew higher, and each new burning limb lit the next. I came in and asked, "Do we have another one?" That got my mother's attention as she joined my girlfriend in the panic debate about which law enforcement agency needed to help us. I found a second larger fire extinguisher and put out the fire once and for all. Without a doubt, that was the dumbest thing I've ever done. The can could have exploded, the house could have gone on fire, my girlfriend could have gotten hurt, or worse, I could have gotten hurt. I learned a very important lesson from this humbling experience. That lesson was humility, and not the sort of humility that tones down our bragging, but humility to understand oneself. Setting the yard on fire was a humiliating experience, and it showed me what parents have said all along: you are not invincible. My own ignorance was revealed that day because I did not have the humility to reflect on what I was about to do. I was too busy trying to impress. Humility doesn't mean we're weak, and it doesn't mean we're passive. Rather, it is an indication of our willingness and ability to learn. We've already learned a lot throughout our high school career, but our wisdom is limited. We still have many new and wonderful things to experience and learn from as we grow into adulthood. And I suppose in the end, that's what I'm trying to convey. We can't understand life until we live life, and we can't live life until we put ourselves out there to risk failure. We have got to try life and keep trying and reflect on life's lessons with humility. And I truly believe that if we persist, we will continue to gain wisdom that will benefit us and others for the rest of our lives. And with that wisdom, we can give unwanted advice at large school functions. Thank you. Congratulations, class of 2013.